Everyone, welcome to Behavior Code Podcast. We already got comments and coming in, and you can always catch this normally 5 p.m. actually. So I'm lying today. It's 4:10 p.m. So you wouldn't know unless you were following me on Instagram or somewhere that this was a change time. But normally it's 5 p.m. Tuesdays, and we have a lot of guests lined up coming up in the next few weeks, starting with Nico Tupan next Tuesday. So this may be the last time you get to hear just me on this. So I had some talking points I wanted to get through. And before I start, we got Andrew Dutra on Instagram. And as you listen to this on YouTube or Spotify, iTunes, make sure you subscribe. You'll get to know these people that I'm naming. You know, last week we had Josiah Cygnus from, his name is Cygnus or Josiah, which, you know, if you want to be formal or whatever. Cygnus, IMC Cygnus from Hawaii. And, so we got a comment from Andrew Dutra. He says, "You're a fucking G, brother." I'm a double OG. I'm a triple, quadruple, septuple OG. I'd have to come out of the Instagram live. I got this image of, you know how you like get a family tree? It's my lineage that my dad traced: Chris, Melvin, Donald, Vern Pierre, Edson, who came before Edson? George, Alexander. I think there was a William, and then there's Casper. Was it Casper? And he fought in the Revolutionary War of the United States of America. I mean, how gangster is that? We were like, this is our land because we say it is. And yeah, there's all the Native American controversy. I mean, who knows what really went down back then? And I got my own thoughts about it. I'm not here to start that controversy because I'm not that educated on it. But I know that we fought in that Revolutionary War. That's about as gangster as it gets. And I am that. So I'm like I'm an octuple gangster, octuple G. Right. But I went the route of, weed, mushrooms, LSD, music, got a PhD, got totally educated in the socialist education system. And, but then I decided to break free thanks to the assistance and my own internal ambition. Cause you got to resonate, it's not Arash Ibazar that freed me up, and it's not me that freed me up. It's somehow the interaction between Arash Ibazar and me that freed me up. And you got to play your role. And then he has to be there also. And he could be anything because he is just a picture in your head. So it could just be nature you're observing that frees you up. It's unavoidable. But that's what that was in the silent flute lecture yesterday. So we got some talking points. We also got some comments, some good people here. Let's say, DC says, is Nico Tupan? No, we postponed because I changed the time on him and he works. I work too, but I'm like different. I work different. I was going to go into it for a second, but I have these other things I want to say. Because I got to go at 4:45 because Arash has mentorship. If you can squeeze in something about mantra, it would be awesome. I have been using mantra throughout my day to raise my vibe, and I've seen great results, and it has been very easy. I wonder what effect does weed give you, LOL. If you can squeeze in something. Okay, you just copied it again. I was just thinking of it earlier. I was walking from, it's very interesting. It was one of the things I wanted to talk about. So let me get this talking point out and keep me on track for that thing. This talking point, what is this? Women are so wavering. Yeah, women are so wavering. So many examples. One example is, it was a girl that was a hater on my post a few days ago, but she and I, we had a relationship. And so she's not like your typical kind of hater that you just see come out of nowhere. They crawl out of the woodworks and like, who the fuck are you? Like, this is the girl that, participates in my Instagram, but said something, commented negatively without liking the post. It's one thing to comment negatively. Now you're just being rude, but you at least liked the post. You showed support. You somehow missed the effort of double tapping for all of the effort of typing out a sentence. That doesn't mean nothing. That means something, that you skipped that. Even if you were, I just missed over it. I was unconscious. Yeah, I know you were unconscious. You were unconsciously negative. You were unconsciously hating. And I was firm on it. And bitch was like trying to be firm, but it's a different kind of firm. The only mistake you would make as a man is lose control. Get impatient. Because getting impatient has nothing to do with her. You're just getting impatient with yourself in the moment. And so you lose control of your voice, and that's when she wins. Then she starts pulling. She uses that. So, mantra, right? Mantra is the mind instrument that we know is like this language, symbolizing frequencies, symbolizing meaning. and how you use your words throughout the day. So anyway, well, I was actually going to talk about something else. So I handle some haters. I finished beasting out this morning, and I'm walking home and I'm thinking, I want to handle this hater because I see this as a comment. And I'm like, I want to handle this hater with like one word. Like, I just want one single word to destroy this motherfucker. No more effort than that. I'll even take a moment to think about it, but I don't want to type any more than one word. And then I was like, if one word could do that, could one letter do that? If I could just find one letter that would destroy his whatever he said. Because I know that's what it is. It's just we're just spitting code at each other. We're just spitting code at each other. You know, you see HTML code. We're just spitting code at each other, and that means there's a code I can write that defeats your code somehow, if I know the language and blah blah blah. Well, I determined, even though I didn't search for it, I determined one letter would not be sufficient to destroy someone if they had any reason at all to their argument. So then it's possible that maybe not just a single word could do it either, if not because a word is just a few letters. So I got carried away. But the idea is, how can I dismantle someone's art? You know, you're doing this if you're in sales. How do I dismantle their objection in as few words as possible? And how do I thoroughly handle it? Thoroughly. Spitting code, that's powerful. Majorities online on Instagram. Oh, that's good right there. Cool, man. Cool, man. I forget what I say sometimes when there's a lag. So if you can mention what's cool, so I know what you mean. That's also the benefit of coming to Zoom, because it's real time versus Instagram and Facebook, they lag. Okay. So that's one example. You know, another example, you stay firm. Like she says, what did I say? I say, this is a new girl. I say whatever, man. Anyway, it's just an example. I read it in, I think, off to my apprentices that, you know, says it one way, says, no, I guess we're not hanging out, or never mind. She says something like, do you want to hang out? I'm like, I'm busy until 9:30. And she's like, okay, never mind. And then I just challenge, man, it's not a good story unless I remember what the fuck I said. But anyway, it ends up being like 3, 4 messages, 5 messages later, back and forth. She's like, so can we hang out tonight? And I'm like, yeah, 9:30, about an hour. She's like, okay. And I ended up canceling on her because my lecture got postponed. But they waver. So don't take their first response as so serious. Don't even take their second response. Don't take their any response so serious. They'll get the tonality on you that's very sincere, that feels real, seems real. This is a permanent thing. It's not. Take it for what it is. It's a gift from the universe. When a woman proclaims her love for you in a way that's so submissive that you can feel it on a genetic level. Nobody's going to have to tell you. You can, I mean, I just tell you so that you have a language for it, but you can feel it. You're like, I would fucking protect this woman against nature. Like, against all of nature around her. You feel her vulnerability in your arms as she like basically says to you in some one way or another that, you know, she wants to be with you and just you. And it's so real. I don't even know why I'm going into that. I'm going down memory lane there. Okay, so some of these bullet points, obviously, I'm not going to say. Yeah, you know, yeah. So I make this post about, what was it, Miley Cyrus? Is that what the girl's name is? That turned into a hoe. That was like some Disney star that was all wholesome. You know, I saw a girl the other day. I had to unfollow her. It was a shame. It was a shame because she's fine, but you wouldn't know it from all her posts, except for this one. She does this post that, man, it's just like showgirl style, like showing off her ass. I'm like, fuck that, man. That's just lame. Like, I don't want that influence anywhere around me. And the reason why? Because, okay, so, well, what do I say here? Yeah, we could say, let's say that same kind of girl would post something, let's say, about some position with the QAnonymous. Let's say the QAnon Like, you know, there's human trafficking. Trump is fighting human trafficking. You know, there's adrenochrome is a thing, and coronavirus is a hoax. You know, there's all kinds of technologies being withheld from people. There's so much, you know, the whole thing about that. And in particular, if she were to post anything about the pedophile rings and the human trafficking, watch, I'm going to get hacked right now. 10 seconds, 10, countdown if the Zoom gets hacked. She'll get a lot of haters that are protecting pedophile rings. She'll get a lot of haters that are talking about we should understand that it's not something that to be feared or have some compassion. There'll be resistance to having a strong position against the sexual objectification. And because that same person is sexually objectifying themselves. So everything becomes an expression of the person. Everything they say or do it's an expression of that person. Like that person has to think something before they do that thing. And their actions they're just an externalization of their thoughts. They could say, well, they did it without thinking, but there was a thought, you just you weren't conscious of it. It was a process of thought, process of pictures, meaning picture 1, picture 2, picture 3, sound 1, word 2, you know, feeling number 3. It's a process, an internal mental, physical process of events that maybe they replay. They're almost always like a replay of something in the past, or maybe you're talking yourself into something. But all of your actions, you're thinking those before you do them. So this is a behavior code. And you know, actions and behavior. This is the survival value. Your actions, your behavior, your thoughts, which becomes your actions and behavior. She's looking to you for the behaviors, you could call them higher value. This is the new teaching from Arash Tibazar, talking about them in terms of higher values instead of just a higher value. Because what a obscure concept to say, okay, so you're demonstrating higher value. Higher value in what? And if you don't know, if this is your first time to the podcast, the interaction between men and women have been codified. It has been codified for like 13 years or so, whenever Mystery Method book came out. And the algorithm involves open, disqualify, or open time constraint. Then DHV and neg, or neg DHV, but probably DHV and neg. Do this, DHV represents for demonstrating higher value. Higher value than what? Than her. In what area? In survival. What does that mean? You go into this because if we say too many words, we lose the algorithm. If we go into breaking apart, you know. But you demonstrate value and neg, disqualify yourself. She'll indicate interest in that because it solicits a genetic response, the same way that her tits and ass, her lips and hair, her skin and voice, her energy, her demeanor, her smell. I mean, you have some of those things too, like you have tits and ass, you got biceps, you got a strong jawline and brow, and like you have physical features too. But she is looking for what? For your actions, your behaviors, your communication. This is the expression of your mind. Yeah, we're looking for that in her too. She could say some ratchety things that would disqualify her, right? But maybe not. Depends on how fine she is, right? Because that seems to trump it, because we always think we can just teach her how to do it better. But I can't, you know, there's a limit to what I can do with that body. And that's even surprising. It's amazing how fine you can make a woman. She gets in shape, learns how to wear makeup, does her hair, different nutrition, her skin changes, dress differently that it fits her. Within 6 months, it's different, 8 months, a year, year and a half. It's amazing what you can do. And she does it all when you have higher value. But it's higher value in whose mind? Your mind? Whose mind is the authority on if you're higher value or not? Yeah, her. So how do you make her see you as higher value? You can't. You can't make her. You could try to convince her and make it into a sale where you're always selling her on yourself, and that is what you're doing, but we have a special word for that, for selling someone on yourself in a way that's pleasant enough that they want to keep getting sold day in and day out, year in and year out for a lifetime. The word for selling yourself in that pleasant way is called seduction. That's what seduction is. Seduction and sales are the same thing, but seduction has this pleasure vibe that's related to, you know, fulfilling the woman, because it signals many, many things. When you are seductive, it signals many things. One, that you're sensitive to her state. I mean, this isn't in an order. This isn't like number one most priority. I've never talked about this before. So I'm just saying one, meaning the first thing that came to mind. Next thing is you've probably been with other women, because how did you know how to do that? Other guys don't know how to do that. So it's pre-selection, meaning other women decided you were safe enough to get at least this far with you. And so along the way, how seductive can you demonstrate your seductiveness? How seductively can you demonstrate your communication, your actions and your communication? So you're looking for, you know, your accent. It's a code, right? You're spitting code at each other. You're also gesturing codes to each other. Your body language is just a gesture. It's a code. It's a syntax of language, and you could call it symbols because it's just a picture in their mind. So it's a symbol, right? This is the teachings of Arashdi Bazar, you know, and he's never said it like this. This is my teachings, but I mean, this kind of perspective is what tasting the flavor of someone's communication is. It's getting there. It's approaching it, right? Cool. So, you know, code, the code of your body, the code of your words. You're looking for the code that opens her legs. And you're looking for part of that, let's be real. And let's be real. You're also looking for the code that opens her heart and opens her mind. I just said the first one because it was funnier. And the order of it, I mean, you discover it. I'll tell you, if you open her legs first, you're not going to be secure in that relationship. Because that's the first thing she'll open for the next guy. So even if you still have her heart and her mind, she'll be opening her legs. So you don't want her legs to be the first thing to open. And if it is, you want to make sure you find the next level. What is the next level when she opens there, but also opens here? Because there will change when here opens, or when here opens, which is, I'm pointing, if you're on the audio, the head and the heart. Okay, and that's a different subject. I mean, we go deeper into that. I need a girl here to demonstrate on or something. So give me just like 3 weeks tops. 3 weeks tops. I'll manifest a girl for podcasts. Okay, let's make it happen. It's got to happen. Why? Because it legitimizes things. 1 second. It legitimizes things. What's up? 2 weeks? 2 weeks? Okay, 2 weeks. Let's talk about, okay, in a different way. 2 weeks, because it's like week number 1. Oh, I'm so weak. Week number 2, 2 times 2 week. Like, let's just say 14 days. Okay, so that's the 28th. And, you know, for behavior code, okay, well, I'll say by the 30th, because I'll have a guest. So I don't always want to bring a girl around when this other guy is going to be talking a lot. I don't know, I might, but Science of Spiritual Growth on Thursday, July 30th. By then, that's my deadline. If I don't by then I'll do 25 push-ups on podcasts right there. I'll just bust it out. And 35. There we go, 35 push-ups. By then, most I've done lately is 25 at a time. No, I did. I think I beasted out. I think I did like 31 or something. First set of decline push-ups today. It's pretty good for me, actually. Okay, when you laugh, your nose wiggles. Neg. I was gonna say, does it? I thought you were talking about me. Okay, make me co-host. I did. All right. Let's see. Any comments on Facebook? Might as well check it since we're taking a pause. Bree, thumbs up. All right, let's continue. Bree, you can always come over to Zoom. Sometimes Instagram cuts out. Let's see. My daughter. So, I mean, how much of this do I want to go in? I got 14 more minutes because I need to record that other lecture. So I'll be going in 14 minutes. Yeah. All right. I'll talk about this one thing. This is going to get me some haters, whoever listens to this. Okay. So I keep going over it. What your daughter would admire when you're going for women, what about them would you want your daughter to be admiring? Boom, pow. Let that explode your mind and your frame of reference a little bit, because anything else that you're admiring in her, you're admiring from a frame of reference of a young boy, little boy chasing something, adolescent. Where's your mature value? Your maturity, this is a teaching from like 2 or 3 boot camps ago. Your maturity is your value. Ultimately, your survival value, when we're talking about survival and replication and this mating game between men and women, your survival value is your maturity. How mature are you in different areas of life, in every area of life, in every situation you find yourself? And a teaching from Ross Bazar is, you are not me. It sounds like such a basic teaching. That's a good mindset. Damn. Yeah. What's up, KP Writer? From Chicago, I believe, right? What was I saying? Jocelyn J, what's up? When you maturity is the value. What is you are not me, so you have a whole life. Like, let's say I was a salsa dancer and you come to the salsa club with me. How fucking mature are you going to be in the salsa club? Now, you could be super mature standing there talking with people, and that's within your realm of experience. If you get out on the dance floor, are you going to be mature? Well, there's a way to handle it. If you're embarrassed, do you handle it with maturity? See, so it's outside the activity, as long as you're outside the activity. If you're involved in the activity and you're so stuck to your mind that you think you are what you're doing, let that sink in. You're so stuck to your thinking about what you're doing that you become the thoughts about what you're doing. And you lose yourself. You get identified with your mind. Don't ever forget, this is Science of Spiritual Growth now. Someone just messaged, one of the apprentices messaged me today. They were like, put all 4 of your podcasts on enlightened masculinity, because it's all about being enlightened masculine kind of thing. And that gets the most views, honestly, like on Spotify and iTunes, that it's killing it. Survival skills, so true. Yeah, survival. You know, survival in the situations you find yourself. That's why if you're married, but you find yourself in a hostage situation, you're going to find your wife falling in love with her captor. He holds survival value. It's going to be very difficult. Oh, just give it time. How long? There's going to be something there now. That's so coercive and it's fucked up, and it would create a split in her. But if the king or emperor walked by, I mean, how many videos do you see of the guy with the girl walking down the street and the guy rolls up in a $250,000 Ferrari or something? Hey, you want to go for a ride? Just real quick, just around the, whatever. It's shitty. Those are shitty videos to make, and shitty videos, and they're probably jokes, but they're so realistic. I think they're real, a lot of them. And it's a fucked up reality, because you could do the same thing with the guys with this girl, and she's, nothing special from the outside, maybe, perhaps. And give an opportunity, prank him with a super fine model or whatever, comes up and just asks for his number and wants this or that. And right in front of her, watch, a lot of guys will just abandon it. And the reason is also on YouTube, we're seeing the successes. We're not seeing all the failures. Maybe there were like 10 pairs of women that they tried it with, and the woman said no to the ride. Who knows? We're only seeing the ones that, like, make the point. But the reason why that's a point to be made, and we all agree, we all know that that's in us, is because it is in us. It's in our genes to respond in that way. One represents survival, the other represents replication. If a woman rolled up in a $400,000 fucking Bentley and tried to take me for my girl with her Bentley, what does she look like? If she's hot, It's going to be easier for her. If she's not, I don't give a fuck about the Bentley. It's like, that's the basic of it. She has that too. It's on her side. She responds to the Bentley, but he comes up and he's looking very pretty, looking nice, has fashion, has body, but looks low value, talks low value. It's a big turnoff. He has some bitch voice with some question, uncertain inflections all throughout his voice, you know, and he talks in a way that's like always doubting himself, and it just lowers his value more and more. But he could be fine. Okay, so the same pull she has there is going to be like my pull to the Bentley, right? But he comes up some, you know, fatty, but he's groomed. He's wearing like, I don't know, $4,000 fucking suit. You see your reflection in it. You be different, wearing $10,000 of jewelry. You know what I'm saying? There's a genetic response there. So why am I talking about this is because what about her would your daughter, and if you don't have a daughter, what would your metaphorical daughter admire about the girl you're talking to? What would you want your daughter to admire about the girl you're in the game with? What is this? I would never do shit like that. I think those are fake. So I almost want to look these videos up, but you know, they're depressing, man. They suck because it's like, it's a shitty reality about it that it's like, fuck, man, I got to bring up my value. And the finer your girlfriend, the more she'll get solicited by things on that frequency. So how often is somebody going to drive up in her Ferrari like that? Come on. But she's solicited by value. Guys are just throwing their value at her, trying whatever they think their value is. Now remember, whose mind is the authority? In whose mind does it matter that you're higher value? So guys are throwing things at her, thinking she values this, she values that. She might not value those things. You know, you were a yoga teacher and your girlfriend was like super into yoga, just like, and you became like guru to her. But the next girl is a club girl. Club girl doesn't see putting my leg behind my head and balancing on one hand while I smile and take notes with my other hand, you know, that she doesn't see that value. She thinks it's a circus gimmick, you know. Whereas girl A sees the club and is like, man, that's just so loud, destabilizing. I don't even drink, like whatever, you know. Its value is value to who? But then there's a baseline value. So that would be higher level. That's like cultural, you know, what's the activity? We have so much diversity in our culture because of basically of, you know, what I would call like free market innovation, you know, through choice, people innovate creations and it frees up people's time. And then, so we have more leisure time to explore arts and crafts. And so we've diversified. But on a base level, she's attracted to this maturity and she'll fall in love with the maturity. It becomes the highest. Now there's more angles in that, because if it was just one word, then I would just cure all of male fucking bitch assness all out throughout the world and say, just be mature. Just research maturity and get mature. It's like, well, of course there's so much misinformation out there. Now add to it this angle of be seductive. Because you could be immaturely seductive. Seduction is just leading the mind astray through pleasure. You're selling them on pleasure. So, but if you're immature about that, then you become that typical player that when you tell girls that you're with multiple women, they think that you're that player, which is the rapid seduction. So as soon as you come forth with, and you should soon, in a seductive way, you tell her, I have lots of girls. I talk to a lot of girls. I know a lot of girls in a lot of cities. You know, I was with other girls when I was with my girlfriend, but she knew everything. I told her everything, always. I would tell her how I seduced the other girls because she saw value in that. You gotta, because then she's gonna say, what value did she see in that, you know? And then you can start to lead her down the logic of it. But as soon as you introduce that idea, that's when you put on the brakes to escalation. Physical escalation, like, you know, because she's going to think that you're just making her one of the numbers Now, if you want her to be one of the numbers, then don't tell her that you have multiple women. Because if she's just going to be a number to you, she's not going to be a relationship to you. If you see potential there, and the secret is, I think at a higher level, as I get higher and higher level with this thing, is, so part of it is that frame. It's like, what are you admiring in this woman that you would want your daughter to be admiring in this woman? I have gotten with girls that dress like hoes, that their behavior is so fucking low class in my mind, but they were beautiful enough to tolerate. And it turns out they're just good people, that when you talk to them, that's just how they know how to communicate because of where they came from. And I can admire a woman that changes when she sees a better way. Her readiness to follow mature survival value, my brand of it. I like that. And I would want my daughter to admire that. And so I admire that. You know what I mean? And I forgot what the last key point is, but I'm looking at the time. I think this should be wrapped up. I successfully repelled half my audience, but the people here on Zoom, they stuck around because, well, let's face it, if you went through all the calls to action to actually come to the Zoom, you're probably in mostly agreement with what I'm saying. So if you guys are on Zoom, I got like 2 minutes real quick. First person, if you got to unmute, go ahead.
Yo, Chris, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on, Yogi Chris? Pleasure to be on your first time being on the Zoom one, but I'll make it really quick. So I just started kind of kicking it with this older chick. She's 36, has a 17-year-old son, and I've been demonstrating that higher value, right? We went out to BJ's, was decisive with ordering. She was taking, we're communicating and whatnot, and server was coming by. Hey, you guys ready? The second time he came around, I was like, yeah, look, we're just going to get this. We'll get a couple of drinks. We'll be ready by the time we come back around. She instantly right there was like, wow, I love like how decisive you were, like being firm with it, with the tonality of the voice. Then we were kicking it just at the park, just hanging out. And she's in a limbo, right? She's older, 25. So she's in a limbo of like, well, I want to have fun, but I also want to have a relationship too. And she basically just threw it out to like, you're going to have to be the one to make the decision on this, and whatever it is, I'm okay with it. So now I'm in a limbo of like, well, now I could do either whatever way I want to go with it. And I just want to see how I can do that by demonstrating higher value with her, by not stringing it along, because I do see value in her because she's a hard worker, has a good career, and was also like has a side business and is fine as fuck, but want to be able to see how I can put it together in a way where I can demonstrate that value of having her as a girlfriend while I still have another girlfriend. You know what I'm saying? Like trying to get my second girlfriend pretty much. How would I go about doing something like that? That's a long game, no?
Yeah, well, I've gone over it a little bit in past. And so in brief, I mean, it sounds like there's a lot of conversations that you need to have with her about your desires for this. And to get to multiple girlfriends, don't think of it as like, let's say you have one girl and she becomes your girlfriend. She's super fine, she's compliant, and she's loyal. And it's not going to be that you have two girls and then you make her your second girlfriend. You're going to need 10 other women so that you get the agreement that you need that amount of pre-selection for your main girl to be okay with it. Part of it is also then she'll have a community of women that are in agreement with your lifestyle, because everyone in her life is going to hate on her for that. Every single person. And she needs a little bit of backup, and you're going to get bored and tired of being her backup because you get tired of talking to the same woman, no matter how fine she is. So you need another woman that she can talk with. So you need to create a tribe of women, which will include, you'll have some guys that are around, but you need to create a community. That's the mature thing there, to be the tribal leader.
Tribal leader.
You got to have a tribe to be a tribal leader. You're starting, you got a family now. All right, everybody. I need to get to the next lecture. Thank you for tuning in. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.